Hey friends.
Welcome to the Swing My Heart podcast with your hosts, Nicole
and Hannah. Come join our porch swing conversations.
Filled with lots of faith, hope, and heart.
Hey Hallmarkies, we're back, and today we have a very special guest on the podcast.
Erin Craven, an actor who you may recognize from some Hallmark movies and shows, such as When Calls the Heart, Signed, Sealed, Delivered, A Country Wedding, Haley Dean Mysteries, and Dashing Through the Snow.
Welcome to the podcast, Erin. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Hannah and Nicole. My pleasure.
Oh, you're welcome. How are you? Tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got started in acting, and what inspired you to become an actor.
I didn't follow the sort of traditional route to being an actor. I was actually on my way to law school in university and started to discover that the legal profession was a lot more technical and a lot more paperwork than I had sort of thought, being young and naive. So I took some theater classes in university. I've done some high school drama, but I started studying theater and I thought, oh, this is so much better than than going into law. It was kind of love at first sight. And then I finished my degree with a minor in theater, major in psychology. And then I think I worked my first professional job as an actor when I was about 24, 25. So I wasn't a child actor. I wasn't even a sort of early 20s actor. I started later than a lot of other people.
Wow.
And so it wasn't like I was a kid saying, I want to be an actor when I was 10. It was something that kind of came to me in my 20s. So a late bloomer.
That's really awesome.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I guess our first question, these are just kind of our generic non-Hallmark related questions. What was your first big role, and was that role in theater, TV, or film?
The first big role that jumps to mind was, I believe it was actually my first professional film TV audition, and I just kind of by luck happened to book it, and it was on a science fiction show that's sort of globally really well known, and it has a real cult following called Stargate.
Oh wow, I think I've heard of that.
Yeah,
I haven't watched it, but I've heard of it.
Yeah, they shot spin-offs of the franchise, and so I ended up being a guest star in the episode, and it was kind of like going to film school for free. I had studied theater, but I was very new to film and TV, so every day on set was just this like massive learning curve.
Wow.
And so that was kind of the first big, whenever I'm asked that question, what was your first big job? That was kind of my wide-eyed sort of venture into the world of film and TV. Yeah.
That's really cool. I'm sure you definitely learned a lot from that experience.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing like being on set. You can go to all the acting classes you want, but until you're sort of, thrust into the thick of it and just kind of, you don't learn until you do, right? So
yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
All right. You want to ask?
So so if you could prefer like a type of role, would you prefer theater, TV, or feature films?
That's kind of like asking someone to pick between their children, like it's, I have a theater company that's based up in Canada, and, they're so different. Being in front of a live audience as opposed to being on a film set, when you're filming something, there's not a lot of immediate feedback. You sort of, you do takes and they say cut, and you go back to your trailer and you don't think much more about it until the project comes out. And then, in the social media world, people like yourself start to sort of see people react once the thing is aired. Whereas being on stage, it's live, the feedback is instant. I think, if I could only do one or the other, I'd have to say that I would do theater, because if it's been a couple of years since I've done a play, I start to miss that connection with a live audience. And that's something that the pandemic has really highlighted, like being in rooms with each other. This kind of stuff is great, but there's something to the energetic experience of being in a room and telling a story live that, for me as an artist, is just, there's no replacement for it. There's no money in theater. To make a living, you really do have to be a film TV actor. But yeah, I would have to say theater is my first love.
That's awesome. Yeah, theater is great. I've never actually been on a TV set or movie set, but I have seen a few shows on Broadway, and they're pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
They're awesome.
It's definitely a unique experience for sure. And
Yeah,
to
and
be
I
in
hear,
that atmosphere.
yeah, I hear Broadway's going to start opening back up in the
I heard
next
that
month
too,
or two.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think
So
the first Broadway show I saw, it was junior year. I went on a school trip, like a high school trip with 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. I think 12th graders as well. And I think it was American Idiot, which was the music of Green Day.
Yeah.
Which put on a good show. And then we saw Anything Goes, which is the music of Cole Porter, and then Arcadia, I think, was the last one. We only saw 3.
Yeah, those are big budget musicals, kind of like big spectacles.
Yeah, but they were all awesome.
Yeah.
So our next question is, do you prefer episodic TV or made for TV movies?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, the thing with episodic is if you're not a series regular and you're coming in just sort of as a guest player, oftentimes you don't really know what's come before and what's come after. You're not really in the thick of character storylines. Whereas when you do a one-off, like an MOW, you get the whole script, you know where your character sits in context of the whole story. So I think I prefer a standalone movie a little bit more than an episodic. I mean, something like Signed, Sealed, and Delivered, of course, is like an anthology. Every story is sort of new with the same kind of characters coming back and exploring something different. So that's a little different, but Gwen Calls the Heart is episodic. So I played a kind of a villainous character on that, and just tried to slide in and fit the tone. But it's a bit of more of a guessing game when you're doing episodic as to whereas you kind of build a movie of the week from the ground up together. So
if I were an actor, I would probably say the same thing. Even though I love my TV shows that I watch, I always enjoy storyline of movies, I guess is the right way to put that. Hannah?
Oh yeah. So we noticed that your first role on Hallmark was a movie called Surprised by Love, and you played a character called Richard White. Could you tell us a little bit about that and how you got that role?
I auditioned for it, and they were looking for the sort of that Hallmark archetype of like Mr. Wrong. So the name Mr. Right was a play on words. And I think I've played that kind of role maybe 2 or 3 times in Hallmark movies. The boyfriend that she shouldn't be with, the guy in the city who doesn't quite understand her and sort of isn't in touch with who she really is. And so I played the corporate kind of, suit boyfriend a few times, and that was what that role was. Had a really good time on that film. I think Hillary Burton was the lead on that one. She was great to work with, and I'm good friends with Paul Campbell, who was the male lead on that. So we had lots of fun.
Paul is great. He's another favorite of mine on Hallmark on the network.
He is one of the funniest humans you'll ever meet.
I love his movies.
I can tell, he's very funny.
You can tell by his tweets, but
yes,
very acerbic on Twitter, but in person he's even better. Trust me.
That's great.
All right. So tell us. We both mentioned When Calls the Heart and Signed, Sealed, Delivered. Tell us about your experience on those 2 sets, and do you have any fun memories to share from filming?
When Calls the Heart, I seem to remember. It's funny when projects are years old, because you kind of get hit by like a couple of like physical memories, and I just remember shooting that. It was so cold when we shot that. We were out in the mud on the set out in the deep suburbs of Vancouver, and I just I had a great time with the cast. Mike Roll, who directed that episode, I've worked with him a number of times as a director. He's wonderful, super funny guy. I just the instant thing the first thing that jumps to my mind is just, it was so muddy and cold when we shot that. It's funny what memories stick with you. Signed, Sealed, Delivered was much more of an indoor shoot, and I had a good time working on that. And I remember, I think the scene that you pointed it out, the sort of the deathbed scene, I do remember shooting that, and that's one of those scenes as an actor where it's like the pressure's on to try to create what that emotion would be, and And I think what ended up on screen, I think we probably shot 1 or 2 takes of that. And
Wow.
yeah,
Oh.
the other actor and I had very good chemistry instantly. And you know, there's things in life that you draw on as an actor, and you just try to put yourself in that headspace, and the camera catches it, you know. So my son had been born not too long before that, so I think that I was in a pretty raw, wide open emotional place, and so getting the emotion in that scene was maybe a little easier than it's been at other times. Yeah,
I definitely agree, y'all. The two of you seem to have a great chemistry in that scene.
yeah.
Every time I watch that movie, it makes me cry.
That's a beautiful
it's-
scene. Yeah, you guys did
thank
a
you.
great job.
Thank you. Yeah,
Probably
yeah. It's interesting.
probably one of the best scenes in that installment of the series.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's interesting when you have good chemistry right away with somebody else. It's sort of one of those things you can't really force it. It's just there's some actors you just connect with instantly. So
Let's see. Since this is Christmas in July, we have to talk about Dashing Through the Snow. The character you played in that movie was different from other roles that you have played. Did you enjoy playing the movie's villain, the know-it-all federal agent, Sam Monroe?
Yeah, it's kind of a role I get cast in fairly often. I seem to be wearing suits a lot in things that I do. I guess this face just looks like it should be in a suit. So yeah, I've played FBI agents and cops and roles like that. I always have fun playing that. Of course, in Hallmark, you can go a little bit more over the top, have a little bit more fun with it. It's you know, it's not a genre that is meant to be, you know, really like dark and shadowy. It's a little lighter, so it's a little tongue in cheek. I think I've watched a few scenes from it, and I go, yeah, that's I'm having fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you want to ask the next question, maybe about Haley Dean, Hannah?
Oh yeah. So do you have any fun memories from your time on Haley Dean? That's one of my favorite.
Yeah. Again, I know many of the actors on that show, and I know Viv Leacock, who plays one of the leads on that really well. So yeah, I'm trying to think. That's one of the ones I'm a little bit more hazy on. I think I was the red herring in that one. You know, the guy who you think did something, but not ultimately.
We're just talking about that.
So. Right. Yeah. It definitely throws you for a loop there. I just rewatched that one recently and definitely thought it was you for a little bit, and I was like, nope, it's not it.
Yeah, those roles are interesting because you sort of have to, in your mind, you know, as the actor, okay, my character didn't do it, but you know that the audience should think that maybe you did. So you're sort of riding this line between, okay, I have to appear like I'm hiding something. I have to have a little streak of villainy in here, but I can't be so obvious as to give it away because, you know, your character's not the person who did it.
Yeah.
Well, it came off well. So.
Thank you.
I definitely agree. I love Haley Dean too. That's another great series.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any behind the scenes stories you can share with us from a country wedding?
Oh yeah. I forgot about that.
That's another favorite of some fans.
Yeah. They kind of came to us late with the idea of doing accents. So the accents, this Texas accent, that was sort of something I found out very late in the game, that they wanted a Texan accent. So I quickly went and studied with a dialect coach so I could have just a little bit of the twang. There was, as I remember, there were fishing scenes in that movie and somebody fell into the river.
Oh no.
I think there's a part where you know, he's like the girlfriend that's wrong for him that falls into the river, but I think the actor actually, as I remember, fell into the river. There was something, yeah, it all turned out fine, but I just seem to remember there was a bit of chaos on set for a second. Somebody actually fell in the river.
Oh no.
Yeah, and I had never fly fished in my life, so those scenes where we're fishing on the river bank, trying to make it look natural. It's interesting as an actor when you get a prop placed in your hand and you think, okay, I'm not a fisherman, so let me quickly get on Google or ask somebody like what, you know, try to make this somewhat authentic looking. Yeah.
I've never fly fished before, but it looks like a lot of fun, and the scenery in that particular scene was really beautiful.
Yeah, there's a river out in a town called Chilliwack where they shoot a lot of Hallmark films. And it's this little town. It's about a 90-minute drive outside of Vancouver. And the river there is, yeah, the scenery is just stunning. Yeah.
Awesome. So after talking about some of your roles on Hallmark, what has been your favorite out of all of them that you've done so far?
That's a good question. It's like the question about picking between theater and film. It's like I enjoyed them all for different reasons. I think people have responded the most. I've sort of gotten the most messages and things for Signed, Sealed, and Delivered. So I guess that's the one that kind of stands out. You know, everybody loves a tearjerker, and I think we did a pretty good job of,
You did, yeah.
the final act of that film. So I guess that's the one that stands out the most, just because it sort of has received the most attention from Hallmark fans. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great answer.
We know that you're a hockey fan. Did you play competitive hockey when you were in high school or college?
I did. I didn't. Well, I played a little bit in university. I only played competitive hockey up to the point where scouts started to show up to the games, and I kind of realized at that point that I wasn't going to go pro. I think I chose basketball at that point instead. I played basketball in high school too, but I'm a lifelong. I love hockey. I don't know if you're both based anywhere in the States where hockey is actually popular.
I think
there's definitely a lot of hockey players around me. So yeah.
I think we have an ice rink, so I think there is a hockey team. I don't know if it's professional or just like minor league. I would have to look it up, but
I thought I noticed the Carolina accent. I did a film about 5 or 6 years ago where I played a real life guy, a lawyer from Carolina, so I had to learn the accent. Yeah, I think the character was from Raleigh though. So
Raleigh, yeah, that's North Carolina.
That's kind of a different accent, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Carolina, North and South Carolina, I think usually have around the same kind of accent, but
right.
So I think to end off the interview, we're going to just do a fun little rapid fire.
Oh, wow.
Fun
Okay.
rapid fire would you rather questions.
Would you rather, so not too hard.
There are questions are based off of roles that you've done on Hallmark.
Sure.
So like elements from the different roles. So our first one is, would you rather work as a mail carrier or in the dead letter office?
Dead letter office.
Of course. Perfect answer. Yep. Okay, number 2. Would you rather work at the Hope Valley sawmill or a coal mine?
Coal mine.
Nice.
Would you rather live on a ranch would you rather live on a ranch in the country or a studio apartment in the city?
Studio apartment in the city. I am a city slicker all the way.
I would probably pick the other one, or country, but a studio apartment would be awesome too.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
All right.
On Haley Dean, would you rather play Fincher, the investigator, or Jonas, the medical examiner?
The investigator. Yeah, I don't do well with blood. I any medical role, I sort of have to like get myself together because I don't have a strong stomach for.
I'm the same way.
Yeah.
All right. Would you rather travel by plane or train for the holidays?
Train, only because I haven't been on a train in like a commuter train that goes along with. Yeah, I haven't been done like any commuting on a train for forever. So yeah, I'd try a train.
Same. I have a fear of airplanes. I don't know why. I've never been on one. I just have a fear of airplanes. So I would probably pick train too.
Does anybody ever try to explain that the fear of flying is irrational because like there's so few crashes? Does anybody ever do that? Where like you shouldn't be afraid of it, but it's like they always forget the fact that it's like, yeah, but the idea of crashing in a plane is terrifying. So even though the odds of it are so low, it's like the nature of the idea of being in a plane crash.
Yeah, it might just be my fear of heights too. That might be.
Oh, okay.
So maybe that's another reason.
Right.
But this was a lot of fun. We were happy to have you. are there any, well, we know you have a Twitter, but would you like to share it with everyone so they can follow along on your,
Oh, of course, yeah.
what you have coming up, any upcoming projects and everything?
Yeah, well, I've segued in the last year or so. During the pandemic's been so weird for the industry. Things were shut down for a while, and some projects were stalled for a while. So things are kind of slowly getting back to normal. I've been doing some writing, and I've written a couple of scripts. So yeah, that's kind of more the area I'm in now. And like I said to you, I haven't done a Hallmark project in a couple of years. So yeah, I don't know. You'd have to ask them why. I'm not sure. Yeah.
All right.
Definitely love to see you in another project sometime soon.
Well, definitely.
All right.
That's a campaign for that. But it was nice talking to you.
Nice to see you too. Thanks for having me.
All right. Nice meeting you. All right.
You too.
All right. Have a
Take
good
care.
day. All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.